Instructor Ford. Welcome to your first lesson as intermediate students of American Kick Punch Karate. This is episode 15. This is 15th lesson, teachable material. Some of it has kind of been TED Talks up until now. Other things have been just technique and correcting technique and working on technique. So we're going to look at the first part of Saturn Kata, or the form we call Saturn. And we're just going to look at the first part because up until now, we've been developing this movement. So from intermediate on, you need to have a flow to your movement. You need to have, on these forms, figure out where your flow is. So you don't want to be choppy in your movement, just to where, pause, stop, pause, stop, pause, stop. You look like a robot dancing. You want to have fluidity in your movement. So that involves finding fluid ways to do things for your body. Some people, fluidity involves circular movement. Some people, half a circle, or their fluidity might be coming up from the crisp ready position. Any way your fluidity goes, I'm more of a crescent guy myself. I'm doing a Ishin or head block. I'm more of a crescent movement guy myself. So some people look very fluid doing ready positions behind everything, and that's fine. By the time you get to Shodan, I don't want any two American Kick Punch Karate practitioners looking identical. At the same time, being identifiable. So, my thoughts on this are you need to find your fluidity. It needs to be identifiable. But at the same time, you need to be unique by the time you get to Shodan. When you get to Shodan, we've got advanced curriculum that we're going to be introducing. And this course, I know it brings you to Shodan. It gives you all the necessary steps to grade. Now, things to expect at this rank. We are going to get into some light breaking, and which is fine. We're also going to get into ring craft, so there'll be whole lessons where it's nothing but sparring. Expect green belt to be probably about 6 lessons. 4 of those will probably be involved in the Saturn form. 2 of them are going to be self-defense and sparring based. So if it's just a form workout like today, we're just looking at the first piece, first 6 steps of this form. Do not get discouraged because there will be sparring workouts. We might do 7 episodes on this particular rank. I know at first stripe or high yellow there's like 2 hardcore lessons on curriculum and then 2 TED Talks. So you will get that sparring in there. You will get those pad drills. They'll be there. But today we're going to have an easy day, an easy lesson. We're going to be working on fluidity in this series of movement. And you might be thinking, well, that can't be hard. If you watch a lot of forms from like various organizations and you see some things in the way they teach their curriculum, the way they teach technique, fluidity might be harder than you think. And so when you see like the bounce step people, you've heard me get on to you about the bounce step and the appropriate timing for shifting weight into technique. So on Saturn, you're going to bow. Salutation and ready position. And the first thing I'm going to do is high block, step up with my other leg, high block. When I'm high blocking, I'm straightening out my back leg when I high block, because high block is deflection. And later on, if I want to reap something that's sliding down my arm, that helps me reap it. So our next movement is high block. Now, the paperwork calls for the very next movement for it to be a kick to the face. If you are not comfortable kicking the face, or you're not quite that flexible yet, just throw a high kick. I personally like doing throat level. I've got scoliosis, so high kicks have always been kind of difficult for me. And so I do relate to your, now I've been able to do high kicks, I can do them, but I'm much more comfortable kicking to the chest to get distance. I don't like kicking to the head because at times I've used it in sparring early on in my martial arts, that stuff gets caught. You get caught and you get thrown, and it is a gamble. So head level kicks are always a gamble. So we're here, we're going to stack on this side, and then we're going to throw a high front kick. Now if your front kick is not super high, if as high as you can go is the groin, make it purposeful. Shift some hip in there. Make it seamless. Find your fluidity. So make it look like it belongs. If your kick can only go to the knee, I hope you're at least kicking groin height by now, but if your kick can only go to the knee, make it fluid, make it purposeful. Don't lose your balance. So I'm going to stack here, and I'm going to throw my high kick, and then I'm going to, well, there is no ki on the paperwork, I got excited. I'm going to throw a knife hand block, and I'm ending in a back stance. So, and that's just to get this knife hand block. Now, self-defense application for this movement, and try to visualize it with me, is the block is actually here, and I've caught a punch, the block is here, and I'm stretching my arm over their neck. So that is the visualization. So they're going to get an arm bar from that. And I might have captured their arm on the kick, and that kick, even if you throw it low, could be, I'm throwing a lot of what ifs, but it could be where you're locking the leg out. Now, from this point forward, I'm going to be teaching you how to read the forms. We have a lot of black belts in the world that can't even read these things. So I want you to be able to read our forms and get information out of them. Not just, okay, that's a cool kick, blah, 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 and get nothing out of it except for an anaerobic workout. I want you to be able to read them, because after black belt, being able to read these forms is where your self-defense is. So, again, you know, my catch of the arm could be here. I've caught the arm, and self-defense speaking, say I'm kicking the knee. Then I'm extending the arm. And, you know, you have a pretty good self-defense. Or I've shifted off a leg, caught. So I've captured their leg, and now I'm attacking the other leg. But say we go ahead and we throw this arm out here now, and I attack the other leg, and now I've got a leg takedown. So those are examples of reading forms. So on this lesson, I want you to get a grasp for the core movement and kind of start reading between the lines on the form. First, get your fluidity. Get your fluidity. And if the start-stop stuff is not working for you, try other methods of getting into these key positions. Because in the original handbook, it doesn't give you what's happening in between. So you're left to find that for you. All right, so we bow. Oh, sorry. Other forms are getting in the way. Ready position, and we'll do that a couple more times. And this time, I'm going to round my hip blocks instead of throwing them from a ready position. I'm going to round them. So they're going to come around off a leg, almost like a punch position. I'm going to parry these things up and see if that doesn't make a difference. I'm also, in my personal practice, going to throw a little more hip into the kick, and I'm going to lower it to the lower ribs. And I'm going to throw this chop to the side of the head and see if that doesn't make a difference in my fluidity. Also, film yourself, replay it, watch yourself. As good as having a mirror, and you can replay it and pinpoint the mistakes. So, so I'm a bit choppy. So I want to round that off. A little more fluid. So that is the process. That's the process you need. Find your fluidity, but follow the pattern. You have a recipe, you just need to know if you need to pinch measure it or use a cup to measure it. I'm Instructor Ford. This has been lesson 15, and please join me this week as I release my personal form. It's a black belt form. I release my personal form, and you'll see a difference in fluidity in that, and probably where you're at right now. Gosh, Georgia is humid. That's okay, it's a good workout for the lungs. There's probably some Okinawans somewhere thinking this is child's play. That's fine. It's absolutely fine. All right, thank you again. I'm Instructor Ford, and I will see you next week.